Hi guys, Gareth here from Natural Horsemanship. I want to talk a little bit about catching a horse, or what I like to refer to as taming a horse rather than catching a horse. It's not a hunting expedition. Um, we have a new horse that came in that comes from a stud where they breed a lot of horses, and the horses live out freely and are kind of interacted with very little. So when they are interacted with, it's normally for their vaccinations, hooves. So for much of the horse's early life, they are not around humans, and when they're around humans, stuff is done to them. And it's just the nature of some of these bigger studs where they don't have the resources to imprint handle folds daily. Um, and I've got no judgment about that at all. It's just once you get to the stage of training, we obviously need to get them tamed. So this guy went to a very accomplished rider that's knowledgeable, and she tried everything in her arsenal. So I felt it important to discuss this because she struggled to get to that taming point with him. The the added difficulty was the fact that time-wise she could only get around 2 hours a week with him, and we know that if a horse is coming from that, the horse is already 7 years old and hasn't got used to people handling them daily, you're gonna have a long way to go in terms of hours and the consistency of every day doing something. So he's come to us to get that sorted out. Now, one of the things she used in her arsenal, which has been appropriate for her and she's had success in the past, is round penning. I'm not going to talk about specific terms from individual trainers or clinicians. I don't want to knock anything. I just want to explain why I don't use round pennings in this situation. I don't say I never use round penning, but I use a very different form of it to what even the people that taught Jamie and I, that what we based our program on, we've adjusted from that. And some people kind of feel that that might be disrespecting the people we learn from because they are legendary horsemen. I don't feel that way at all. I feel if those guys were to live to 200, 300, they would have got to where we're getting now even quicker than we have. So progress was always their goal. They always wanted to be better for the horse. They always wanted to be lighter. So I'm going to show you what we do instead of round penning, and we can actually do this in a smaller arena or a round pen, but what I want to differentiate is from the amount of pressure that has traditionally been used in round penning as opposed to what we're doing now. We are not walking in and scaring the horse until it comes into us, and that should be pretty self-explanatory. But what we often see is these horses would often have been exercised in a lunge arena or round pen, and they are chased around and they don't really get a release. When people get them and now try to start taming them, they are still in that mentality of being chased around. Even if you are brilliant at your round penning, you've got perfect timing of when you give your release, you are still looking way too much like that free lunging that happens, which I'm never a proponent of. For me, that 20 minutes of free lunging should be used to build connection, not just fitness. So my personal feelings about that is I would rather not do it at all. But people do it. So when you get into this situation, you go put a horse into a round pen and chase them, it looks like everything they've seen before, and they do not understand that you're actually wanting them to come in. Okay, so I'm going to go start getting close to this guy. This is a big area, and from my background, this is what I'm used to. I'm used to working in a big area where the horse doesn't feel confined, and I actually feel that it creates less anxiety on the place of the horse. They've got place to escape. Jamie, if you film down there, if this horse doesn't want to be with me, it's got all that room to move. It doesn't feel trapped, so I'm safer. Now, that does also make it, there's far more walking and it takes longer. For me, time spent doing this stuff always makes the rest of the training process go shorter because we're taking out that anxiety. Okay, I'm going to leave Jamie to hit on some points while I'm going through with the horse. Enjoy the video, guys. Cheers.
So my intent is mostly just to sort of stay quiet and be here making quiet observations without judgment. I think that's one of the most important points that horse trainers need to have. Gareth is used to catching horses, absolutely out in the wild. Wild horses out in the wild, or horses who have had really bad experiences with people out in very large open spaces. And this is a technique, it's probably close to what some people might call hooking on. So what we're trying to do is cause our horse to become curious and have them engage with us. There's some evidence that the first horse interactions weren't people seeking out horses, but rather horses seeking out people. And we have found that to be so true. So this guy's been with us for a few days. Gareth has spent his mornings out here. You can see that was just a little too much pressure. Now typically in a round pen, the horse would have been driven off and chased and basically his lungs used against him. Here Gareth is going to keep pressure on. The only amount of pressure Gareth needs is to be present. You can see our boy here really, he gets the fact that he's, the point of observation, and from a prey-predator standpoint, you can appreciate him going, oh shoot, I've been singled out again. You can see the rest of our boys sort of standing around calmly. And as Gareth has spent several mornings out here since this boy has been with us, we've been able to build a lot of what I call draw in the horse, and have him decide that humans might not be all that bad. We did have a bonding experience with him when we loaded him. By no means did we use sedation. We put him on a halter. So he has been caught before. We put him on a halter and we led him into the trailer and brought him home. And then we put him out here in the herd with our stallions. This guy is a gelding, but we put him out here with our stallions because our stallions are experts at causing horses to become tame. Horses teach horses, horses teach humans. And they've sort of come in and they've helped this boy go, hey, that's the guy who brings us food, that brings us love, that brings us entertainment. And you know what? It's really okay if we check this guy out. One theory, a school of thought, or sort of an idea that we want you to have about horses is that horsemanship is becoming half man, half horse, and that's both for horse and human. You can see my Sonny. I knew Sonny would take to this guy immediately, and Sonny comes in. He misses his herdmate monkey that we used to do sort of mutual grooming between the three of us, sometimes several times a day. And since Monkey was put down a few months ago, Sonny's actually been quite lonely. So he sort of picked this guy out, and he saw him go in and get a little groom from Gareth and give the other guy some reassurance. And you can see if we put too much pressure, we're going to end up with the whole herd running away, and then we're going to add to this guy's anxiety, or basically prove his assumption that we are scary predators hunting him. Right. And we want him to start looking at us as something that's familiar, as a point of safety, and perhaps something or someone that he wants to engage with. So Gareth has had him offer to draw in and come up and touch him. He's actually a lot head shy, specifically on his nose the other day. And I had a moment out here with him where Sonny over here kind of helped push him to me. And he actually let me stroke his nose and his face before he went, okay, that's way too much and I need to go back and think about it. So we've had some really cool things going on here, and I really think it's worthwhile to take a look at if you're having trouble catching a horse or getting a horse tame. This is a really wonderful way that becomes a positive experience for the horse that's not too scary. And it doesn't require a round pen or chasing or anything that's frightening. So you can see he made an effort to come and touch Gareth's shoulder or move towards Gareth's shoulder. And to build the curiosity and draw, Gareth took the pressure off and said that's the right thing to do. And as soon as he took the pressure off and said that's the right thing to do, the horse began to investigate him. Now he might need to withdraw and, sort of think about things. And go, well, I don't know how I feel about that. Is that really a predator stroking me, or, is at least this one safe? Horses that are, live out in the wild, like this guy pretty much has. I would imagine, he might have had his feet done, some vaccinations, and he was gilded. So his experience with people may not be all that positive, and I think I can appreciate where he's coming from. And it's, it's just how a lot of studs have to bring up their horses. When you have a lot of land, you can breed a lot of horses. You don't have time to get to them every day. Or even, every month sometimes. This guy is incredibly well bred, and all bloodlines that seem to be extremely people-friendly and have a desire to work, and there's no mistake in that. I honestly feel that whether we realize we were doing it or not, we have been selectively breeding these well-bred horses to want to be human partners. In particular, more modern bloodlines that fit our horseman lifestyle. Most of the world doesn't have a groom to come take care of their horse on a daily basis. And we need to be able to come out and catch these horses, tame these horses, get them trained, and put them to use rather quickly. And so I don't think that there's any mistake in this horse's curiosity about people. So that's my 2 cents on why we have easier to train horses than we might have 30 years ago.
So as you saw there, the few sessions we've done with him have had more impact than we expected. So you don't see the run around the walk around that we do on those first few sessions. It really had some kind of impact. But you'll notice that I don't have a halter with me. That is where I'm giving a release for now. I need him comfortable with me going to him, touching him, and
so if we apply principles here, pressure motivates and release teaches, and dwell time is sort of the frosting, solidifying factor of a horse's learning experience. Gareth chose to release when the horse became curious and offered to touch him and allowed to be touched back. So if we leave this here today, I bet you tomorrow on our video you're going to see the horse try twice as hard. And tomorrow we will come back with a halter. So I hope you guys enjoy our video here, and we will tune back in.
One quick thing we spoke about, the rider, experienced horsewoman, very capable. I worked with them before. The other thing they tried was food. Food will work a very small percentage of the time, and you're not getting any honesty with it. So using food to tame a horse. Horses have, obviously Jamie might have mentioned some of this because I couldn't hear what she was talking about while we were working with the horse, but food is actually pretty low on a horse's priority. From a horse's perspective, especially a horse in our situation, there's food everywhere out there. Sweet sugary food is way down the list behind safety and comfort for a horse. So they will never choose to put themselves in a dangerous situation, what they feel is a dangerous situation, above getting food. So I don't generally use food. Food causes things like snatching and running, or snatching, turning and kicking, which puts you in a dangerous situation. So I prefer, my personal recommendation is avoid using food to tame a horse. Thanks guys.